All right, welcome back to the Very Hungry Caterpillar part 2 of our project. Last time when we were together, we made these two bodies, one for the butterfly and one for the caterpillar. Today we're going to be working on our butterfly some more. We also made some beautiful papers the last time in the Eric Carle style with different types of items and some paint. Today I'm going to pick one of those papers to work with, and what I'm going to start doing is designing my butterfly wings. So the first thing that I want to do is know how much canvas space I have to work with. Here is my 12 by 18 sheet of construction paper, and what I'm going to do is I want to fold it in half, hamburger style, or the fat way, not the hot dog style or the long way. And to fold, what I do is I match up these corners over here. See how they're not matched up yet? There's a line and a line. I want to match them up like this, and then I put my finger on it and I check, I turn it, and then I look at this side to see if it's matched up. They're not quite matched up, so I take my other hand and I push it to where I want it to be. And then I move my thumb over to help hold it in the middle, and my finger in the middle. So now I know that it's still lined up. I'm holding in the middle, and I push this way on my paper. I push down until I get a crease or a fold on this line. And then I can go back, and I can push down on that line. So I know that it's folded in half. That's how we fold things in half. Then I can take my template, or you could create your own. And I want to make sure when I do this that my folded part, this folded part here, this is the folded section, right? I can't split it. It's just where the crease is. That's where I'm going to line my template up with, so that when I open this, it's one big butterfly wing set. And I'm going to trace around my edges. I like to use a pencil so I can erase if any lines show when I'm finished that I don't want to be on there. Just like that. And then of course, I'm going to take my scissors and cut it out. Remember the rules. Your scissors don't really move. All they do is open and close like an alligator. It's your paper that's rotating and moving. So my other hand is telling my paper where to go, while all my scissors do is open and close, especially when you're working on rounded edges. Just like that. Throw my scraps in the recycle can. And then when I open this up, I have a nice set of wings. Now these wings are kind of plain, and I could go ahead and just attach them like they are if I like it like that, but I want these to be really interesting, so I'm going to be taking some of this paper to help decorate these wings. And there's some different ways that you can do that. There are templates that you can buy where you can trace shapes. You can make your own shapes and templates at home by cutting them out of some thicker paper. And I have many different shapes and sizes here today, like this. Or you can come up with your own shapes and ideas. But remember, because this is a reflection, it's the same on both sides. We want to try and make it a matching reflection across this axis here on both sides so that they match. So you'll have to cut two of everything. Knowing that you have to cut two of everything, what can we do with this paper before we even get started drawing all those different shapes? Same thing we did with our other paper. We can fold it in half. So again, I'm going to match up my corners here and check my other corner down at the bottom. Flatten and crease. Now, it's not going to be the exact same color because we have all different colors inside, but we're going for the same shapes across the axis. And I folded it this way because it's going to be hard if I trace this on here to see my lines. But if I trace it on the back side, I'll be able to see my lines pretty easily. And I have a lot of paper, and I want to use up as much of this paper as possible. So when I trace my shapes, I'm going to start on the edges, and I'm going to put things as close together as possible. So there's one heart, and you can see the heart. And maybe someplace else I want to do a bigger heart. And I don't have a bigger heart, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to free draw that on my paper. That just means I don't have a guide with me, and that's acceptable. It's not quite as dippy as I want it, so I'm going to go back and dip it a little more. Erase my extra lines so I don't accidentally cut on those next time. And you're going to keep tracing until this whole paper is filled up. Now I have this whole paper filled up, so it's time for me to start cutting. Because I want to, I'm going to leave it folded while I cut. And I'm going to go in from the edge and open and close the scissors as I need to, but turn the paper with my other hand. So that would be my first cut, and if I open it, then I get 2 circles. And before I go any further, I want to make sure that I glue these down because I want them to be, again, a mirror image of each other, so I don't want to forget where they go. So I put just a little bit of glue on there. I don't need a whole lot. These will stick paper to paper pretty well. And I want to get back to my cutting so that I can keep adding on, don't I? Now you'll notice sometimes I'm snipping off corners or pieces. That's to make it easier to cut. So for example, if I start cutting over here on this heart, and then I have to start working around, you see how the paper starts hitting my hand? Sometimes it's easier just to snip it straight across there and put down the extra. Notice I'm pinching so it doesn't come undone. I want it to stay together so I can cut the same shape. And then I can keep going, and the rest of that paper isn't in my way. I can just set it to the side, and then I can come back to it when I'm ready for it. So as you start filling in your butterfly more, you'll notice that I have a lot of big shapes left, but those aren't going to fit. That's okay. What I can start doing instead is reevaluating and seeing if I could use some of these shapes in different ways, or if I could use smaller parts of these shapes. So I have a thin area in here. If I cut out this really big one, maybe instead of making it so fancy, I can make it a little thinner, just like that thin area was. And then I can go back in and I can kind of fit those in there a little bit if I wanted to. Now the next part of this is going to be to put on our little butterfly in the middle shape. And I'm going to make sure I don't have too many pieces sticking out. This one's sticking out just a little extra over here. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut off just a little bit of that square part on the top and the bottom to make sure that my butterfly is rounded. And this part's going to take a little bit more glue than what you're usually using. So remember, kind of like our story, too much glue from the beginning of the year. This time we're going to go in and we're going to add a lot of glue because these are really kind of pointy and have lots of little crevices in them that we need to fill in to make sure that it sticks on our butterfly. And then this is going to get a couple little googly eyes too. So right up here at the top, we're going to do one googly eye on here. They're kind of hard to see from that angle, but they'll be a little easier to see when we hang these after they've dried. And then a googly eye up here. Oops. Make sure you get, again, enough glue on there that it wants to stick. You need some extra glue since these are lumpy bumpy. And we're going to go put this on the drying rack.